Rock and roll.
And we're live. There's New York
Yes.
Vinnie, and there's Mikey too. Hey,
Hiya, Mikey.
it's been a crazy week, Vinnie. We missed you.
Thank you. I missed being here. I missed all our friends that listen to us every day or every other day, really, from
From hither and thither.
10:10 till 11:10 or thereabouts. And it was a week of moving that isn't over yet, but you know, I'm going to a new place,
Now
and
they know
that's
you're coming. Now they know you mean it. You're coming.
I am on the way. So, what did I miss? Anything I missed? Seemed like it was a quiet week.
Baseball season started. Donald Trump unplugged the economy of the world, and the final four is tonight, or the final two, I should say.
Boy, it's not a. Yeah, well, let's start with let's start with Trump real quick because I don't want to spend a lot of time, if we can, talking about him because him is. I mean, it is what it is, man.
But
I
it's
mean,
one he's one incredibly sick fuck, and we can't get past that. He's doing
yeah.
it's not this is not happening. It's being done. It's being done to us by him.
Well, and after a while, I start to wonder if it's even being done by him, if he's not a stooge for somebody or some bigger thing. I don't know. Um, I do know that it's the stress of what he is doing alone. Never mind whether you think he's right or wrong or anything else. The stress of what he has been carrying on and doing is there must be a lot of awful strong people out there because I know it's got me a nervous wreck. It's got me um, not knowing what's going to happen with my money, not knowing what's going to happen with my life, not knowing anything. And the biggest enemy of somebody is not knowing.
And he will just say, "I didn't do it. I didn't do any of that shit. You guys, if you'd let me be president, I'd have fixed it. But no, you had to do it your way. I didn't do it."
Well, and on top of it, he goes out and you would think that a leader would strive to get people to relax, strive to get people to take it easy, come out and explain in detail his thoughts and his reasoning so that people would understand.
It can't be understood. In fact, one of the most revealing comments about this was from the German Department of their finance. It just said, "We looked at the numbers; they don't make any sense. None of this makes sense. It doesn't have any relation to reality. This is just madness. It's numbers made up on the spot. This is not real."
Yeah, it seems that it seems that that's the opinion of most people that look at this, and most people say that that well, most educated people that you see on the in the media and writing newspaper articles and opinion pieces. There's people that are much smarter than I am.
People who are economists but don't know what's going on.
Uh, are looking at this and saying, how do you expect this to work? Especially in one of the most affected businesses by this, which is the automotive business. I mean, this is literally going to kill the American automotive business,
How long do you
and
think they
it's
can
going to kill
last like
people,
this?
and it's going to kill people from buying cars. It's if they wanted to get people to take public transportation, this was the best way to do it, probably for them.
If there were public transportation.
Yeah, I mean that's it. They want to get people to take public transportation. It doesn't exist. Although they did build that line from where is it from Bakersfield to Fresno or
No, it was Modesto to Bakersfield, but they never built it.
I thought it was going up. I thought it was
I think
all
again,
approved and
I think they approved it, then they bought some of the land, but they never built it.
huh. Well, I just and I don't know what to do about it. I don't know. I mean, I was encouraged that I saw people turning out to protests on Saturday. If I hadn't been under 100 pounds of couch, I probably would have done it myself. But
Well,
at
the
least,
city of Los Angeles mobilized to some degree, and so it was with Pasadena and a few other locales. But we're going to need something bigger than that.
yeah, there seemed to be a lot. I mean, I saw in Chicago they had a ton of people. New York City had a ton of people. I don't know how many were in D.C. I hadn't seen anything about D.C.
And what did
Uh,
Trump do? He just played golf.
but yeah, but they what do you do to keep these people remembering this?
Well,
What do
they'll
you keep
remember.
these people? I don't think it affects Trump. I mean, I don't think there's going to be a direct correlation to, oh my God, Trump sees this, this protest, and he's not going to do it. He's going to change his mind. I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think you're going to have a Lyndon Johnson who just looks at this one day and says, "What the hell mess did I create here? Let me get the hell out of here."
Uh, He'll never have that sort of reality check.
I don't. I just think that he thinks he's right, and that's it. And many people who could have a say in this thing still keep their mouths shut.
They're afraid of the Fuhrer. Don't get the Fuhrer up in arms. Don't tell him the truth. In fact, don't tell him anything. Let him tell you.
It's amazing. It's amazing how many people who are supposed to carry sway in this country supposed to carry sway with him. Instead, he surrounds himself with
Yes,
people
man.
who will just yes him to death. Uh, and tell them, hey, what you're doing is right. What you're doing is a smart thing. This is going to work. Miller and I don't know, the guy that used to run Goldman Sachs. That's the Treasury Secretary, not Treasury, but Commerce or whatever. I mean, this guy this is the guy who said that. Well, if my mother could go, and most people without Social Security could go a month or two without a check.
She wouldn't complain.
She wouldn't complain. She'd think that somebody was, trying to figure out how to work out the fraud in
Take
Social
the
Security.
take the guesswork out of it by not sending the checks.
Well, it appears to me, Mikey, that as much as if you're somebody who's caught short, if you're somebody who doesn't have a grand 401k, and that's a lot more people today than it was last week, that you're gonna watch this country disintegrate in front of your eyes. Everything we worked for, all the trials and tribulations that we went through in our lifetimes,
Get
and
destroyed by one man.
they don't compare to the stuff that our parents went through, that fought in World War II and gave their lives for this country. What do you think if you're somebody who gave your life for this country, Michael?
I just
Well,
got notified by Apple News that there are 7 surprising methods to getting rid of anxiety. I have to sign up for it
surprising
though.
methods.
Surprising methods to get rid of anxiety. 7 of them.
Surprise me. Tell me the first one. No,
Well,
no, no. Pick number 5.
yeah. First, I have to open up the. They tell you nothing in the Apple News spotlight. So for that
Yeah,
reason,
I
I'm
don't
not
even know
gonna. For
why
that
I
reason,
have that on my.
for that reason, I'm not gonna open it.
Okay, that's
Including
probably a good idea.
body lotions are one of them.
Body lotions.
Body lotions. You feel that anxiety swimming all over you, put on the body lotion.
Body lotions. Yeah,
Well, it's Apple.
I'm going to.
They got their own problems because all their phones are being made by people who don't like us anymore. I don't mean the Canadians.
Yeah, they're tied up with a bunch of people who and are going to hate us more this week if President Slapdick there throws his further tariffs on China.
Well, my sister Diana just got back from Paris, and she said that it's noticeable. They don't know what the Americans are all about. They thought we were sensible people. Now they're not so sure. In fact, they have reason to believe that we've all lost our mind because we can't stop him.
Well, I think a lot of Americans are reasonably thinking that they lost their minds, that we have lost our minds. It's an interesting thing that came up over the weekend. You probably didn't see it. It was on Facebook, but I won't name names, but I'm just going to. Person A, who was a friend of mine, is a head of a rather large union in town, elected president of that union
In Seattle
in
or some,
Seattle.
or some town.
No, in Seattle, yeah. So anyway, he puts a Facebook post up about Trump and the economy and how it's the aimlessness of it and yada 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 and it's actually a well thought out from the heart piece, little post. It's I don't know 8-9 paragraphs long. So this guy's not a dummy. I mean, he's an elected head of a union, and he's trying to explain not on union paperwork, but on his own thing. He's trying to explain to people how this is wrong, in his opinion. It's one of those things where you take it, you leave it, or you leave it, whichever you want. You don't have to, and it's his personal opinion. So he gets an answer, and I know you never read the comments, but he gets a comment from some guy who starts talking about how he shouldn't put his feelings up there about Trump or anything because he's the head of the union and there are people in the union with opposing viewpoints. Surprise, surprise. People in the union with opposing viewpoints. Can you believe
I don't
that,
believe it.
Michael?
No, I do. I refuse to believe that. I'll side with the idiots on this one.
Yeah, everybody. So anyway, um, and it just I mean, actually, the conversation stayed pretty civil. Nobody resorted to name calling or anything like that, which shocked me to a degree that I haven't been shocked in a week or so before, because nobody it didn't denigrate into you're this, you're that from both sides. The guys that took him on about it, his answer was also well thought out too. I mean, he was saying that he shouldn't have an opinion about this because he's the head of the union and there are people with opposing opinions. And so, of course, I got to get involved. I just wrote that, hey, the reality is this guy is a union buster. He's public about it. He's said on several occasions that he, uh, uh, has busted unions, and that he is somebody who doesn't believe in unions. That the employer, because you're laying out all the money, should have the ultimate say. And I just thought that it was odd in that it was a civil conversation, because how these things denigrate. But it was also odd because I don't know, the guy was just making a point on his own time, on his own letterhead, if you will, that Donald Trump is ruining the working man in this country
On purpose.
on purpose, right? Not because he is inept and doesn't know what he's doing, even though he is, but also because he won't listen to people that have more experience, that are smarter than him, people that had the government and the country running in a better fashion than it had before. And it was on one side of the spectrum, Michael, it really showed me that people can still talk about this stuff and not jump on each other and not call each other names. But on the other side, it showed me how much the Trump acolytes, the people that just believe this guy no matter what, are into it. He's literally talking about busting the unions up. This guy is a member of a union
And you can't see it.
and he can't see it. Just like the farmers. You knew that the tariffs, the hardest hit people on the tariffs, and one of the hardest hit people on the tariffs were going to be the farmers. And what are they saying? We love Trump. What has he done for people that make you love him so much?
He's played with their heads. He's played with their psyche. He's played with their intelligence. He's played with their judgment. And they can't function anymore as a citizen. They're not citizens anymore. They're just followers. They're part of the Guyana jungle dead. They've already got their Kool-Aid ready to go. They keep it at their elbow. When the order comes down, they'll be the first ones to go.
They're going to drink it automatically.
Won't have to be told twice.
What happened to the people that think for themselves? What happened?
And this is the tragedy that I'm talking about. This is how
Yeah.
it ends in tragedy.
Yeah. You know, most people probably thought when you were talking about that, and I did too, that it would end with Trump dying or somebody doing something stupid or something along those lines. And you're right, the tragedy is not going to be a small tragedy. It's a tragedy that's going to involve all of us.
As many as possible. That's his choice. That's his wish. That's his goal.
How does a person get to that? How do they get to a place where they hate so much that and they get enough people to go along with them in that hate?
I'm surprised that he plays golf because it's a frustrating game and you can't get it your way. So unless he's cheating on every 9 holes, how does he manage to play golf without killing somebody? Without beating his children with a stick?
Are you intimating that Donald Trump would cheat in a game of golf?
Well, they announced that he was going to be in the championship round before he played. Mein Führer! Mein Führer!
I think Hitler had that same thing going on too, right? Didn't he get to be in all the athletic? If you look at the old German records, it shows that Hitler beat Jesse Owens by half a block.
Oh yeah, Jesse had nothing on Adolf. He had those first quick steps.
It's not like this is ancient history. It's not like this stuff happened, 200 years ago, and there were no books around, and there was no real history being written. This happened at the start of the television age. This happened when
That's why we need Superman.
yeah, oh yeah, we do. Unfortunately, I think that's a tall story. I like to believe it's true, and sometimes when I get too anxious, I go into a place where I think it's true. But unfortunately, 2 things have changed my perspective on that.
Great Caesar's Ghost was one of them.
Antipsychotic drugs.
Yeah, well, there you have it.
No phone booth or no storerooms, and it gets increasingly hard to watch Clark Kent turn into Superman.
Because he can't always, oh, I got to go back to my apartment. I forgot my lunch.
Doesn't always work like that. Jimmy, why don't you run down the store and get us a couple of coffees? Well, now they got a Starbucks in the lobby. Jimmy can be there and, down the elevator, up the elevator. But boy, we sure could use a Superman.
Oh, Mr. Kent. I'll go get your coffee. Be right back.
Jeepers, Mr. Kent. I mean, that was the guy that was born to play that part, man.
Yeah.
Jack Larson. He was born to play that part. But man, we sure do need a Superman now.
He's got to use all his powers to get us back on track.
Well, and that's the funny thing. Could he? I mean, could he? Remember, Superman is sworn never to change the course of history
Why?
because that's what he can't. One of the things he can't do. They had to give him some things that he couldn't do. They had to give him some way
See,
for him to be invulnerable, and so they gave him kryptonite, and they gave him
that
the
Nash
op-
Rambler.
the what?
Nash Rambler.
Yeah, they gave him that Nash Rambler. That was, yeah, you wouldn't live a year if you were driving that thing.
You weren't going
Um,
anywhere.
anywhere around the block, it would get you in trouble.
Not going.
Look up.
Had the roof that the sides of the convertible top stayed up, and the thing went down, and
the thing, this thing goes up, that thing goes down. That's not a way
it,
to run a. That's no way
it
to
was
get around the
amazing.
block.
I love, I haven't watched Superman. I've been kind of saving it because I know that once I start watching it, that I'm gonna like sit in front of the TV
Yeah.
like I did a week or two ago with Hacks. I just sat there and watched it, and I was like, "This is good." It's taking my mind off of the things that I want to take my mind off of. And that's what America needs now.
Yeah. I don't use Superman. I use murder mysteries.
Yeah, you know what I wish they'd bring back, Michael, is I wish they'd bring back the variety show.
Hmm.
I think that if you had a good host if you could find today's Carol Burnett, you would have something.
Of course,
That's
she used the guest and she used the regular cast to create her shows.
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
Combination.
she had 4 or 5 people that were there that were good sketch art, sketch people,
You should
and
look.
they could adopt almost everything. I mean, in many ways, it was Saturday Night Live before Saturday Night Live.
Funnier.
On some occasions, yeah. On some occasions, it was. I don't know if they had too many weeks that hit, but also they had the ability to go back and change it as it was going.
Yeah, they could fix it.
They
Punch it
could
up.
fix it. Where SNL, you're out there live and that's it. But and I know that Lorne Michaels tried it a few years ago with Maya Rudolph, um, and I don't know that she was the exact right. And I love Maya Rudolph, but I don't know that she was the right person for it. But
I would choose someone like Jimmy Kimmel, perhaps.
yeah, I think Jimmy Kimmel would be a good choice. I think that Kate McKinnon
Hmm.
would be somebody who could pull that off because she has both the ability to be in the host role and run the show and be funny, but also could participate in the sketches.
Oh yeah, she's strong.
So she's very strong. Um, but yeah, Kimmel, I yeah, I mean I'm a big fan of Jimmy Kimmel. I like he does something, and tell me if you think this. He does something that I think is very important. He is a big star without him constantly letting you know he's a big star. He almost seems like a guy you could live next door to.
Man of the people.
Yeah, yeah, he really and he really just brings out that particular trait that allows you to believe that you could drive down Jimmy Kimmel Street and see him out there putting out the garbage.
There's Jimmy.
It's JJ, right? Hey, go, Bill. I don't know. So anyway, Michael, let's hope that we can that we'll have a country on Wednesday to talk about.
That's the plan, but there's no guarantees.
There's no guarantees in anything, Michael. There's no guarantees in your car. There's no guarantees on anything. We've become such a litigious society that if you try to guarantee anything, somebody will sue you.
Coffee.
Somebody will have you in court. We make television shows out of our litigiousness. Tribal justice. No, tribunal justice. 3 judges.
Law and order.
Law and order. Many policemen. They seem to feel like this is the way to go. I mean, Dick Wolf is an ad executive who saw the value in telling 2 sides of the story instead of just one. Or 2, not sides, but 2
viewpoints
views of the story.
Right. 2 angles.
2 angles. Law and the people who try to keep order, the police. And he came up with that witty,
Yeah.
which
Slamming
is probably
of the, slamming of the cell door.
I mean, it's probably the most familiar sound in American justice.
And everybody who enjoys the cold open. She's going to find a body. She's talking to her boyfriend, but she's going to find... There it is. She stepped on it.
Cold open is good.
If you're in Central Park and it's 4 a.m., you're going to find a body no matter what. So you might as well hurry up and find it. We got to get the story going.
One of my dream acting jobs, I have a few. One of my dream acting jobs is just to be one of the people who find the body.
And then they say, who found the body? And they point to you, so you're in 2 scenes. Union
And
gig.
you're in the cold open. Which
union
is
job, though. It's a union job. Keep in mind.
Well, I'm a union member.
So it should be.
So are you, right? You still a union member, or?
I'm not a SAG-AFTRA member any longer, no.
Yeah. Well, damn it.
I'm not in any danger of taking a SAG-AFTRA job at the moment.
You never know, Michael. They
Sure.
might need they might redo the Sunshine Boys.
Well, if I were working for Town Square Media, I'd be worried.
I'd be worried if I was working for any media outlet.
Yeah, they cut them back at CBS here. KNX. Brought a bunch of their midday people.
Yeah, I just don't know how people. It just doesn't seem to be a job with a lot of upside or future to it. And
But my pal Pete Demetrio got a Lifetime Achievement Award, so that's a big shout out to you, Pete. You deserve it. Still on
there you go. Congratulations, Pete. Lifetime achievement for
reporter.
There you go. A reporter still seems to be a cool job.
Yes. If I were to go back, I think I'd rather be a reporter than an anchor.
Yeah. Reporter seems to be, because you're out in the street, you're talking to people, you got a feel for what's going on, the heartbeat of the city and all of that.
And there's adrenaline. When you're on your way to the store, you were going someplace.
Right. Yes, that's exactly it. It's like you're a fireman going to a fire or a cop going to a call. There's you just made me think about something that's very, very true. It's that adrenaline, it's that rush that you get from getting there, finding out the facts, identifying the person you can talk to,
and getting it together.
And getting the information, who's going to talk to you, who doesn't hate the media.
Who, what, where, when, and how is plenty. If you got all that, you've got a story.
Yeah. And if you're crafted, if you're a good writer or a good storyteller, you have a pretty good chance to inform people, and you don't need three other people sitting with you up there on the thing telling you, giving you the six different angles of the story.
And you have to send your own lead in. You have to write the lead.
Right, right. You don't just send a story; you send a package with a lead in, a tease. But uh, and you get to do all of that for $40,000 a year.
Yeah, if. And that's major market.
Yeah, and so who wants, who with a chance to go to a Microsoft News, which nobody reads, and get 100,000 thrown at you?
Providing
Why?
leads that have no information in it, making you click through.
Yeah, why would you? Why would you do that? Why would you go to radio? Well, why would you? A medium that I love. You and I both. We love radio.
You have to give them something they can't get anywhere else, and they can get the news a lot of places. So it's back to music.
Yeah, well, I can get that a lot of places too, though. Now, it's not like the old days where you had either radio or records. That's how you were going to get your music, one way or the other. And usually, you listened to the radio, you heard something you liked, bang,
About the record.
you bought the record, and you played the crap out of it, and you danced, and you were happy. Could you imagine if we had social media for I don't know, in the 50s? You would have never had radio. You would have come home with Chuck Berry's record and put it on, and five people in your house would have jumped on you for buying that Convicts record. It would have exploded in your face. People would
Say
have said,
less.
"Well, you got the oh my God, you're listening to Red Barber, isn't he that racist?" Well, you don't know what a racist is. Oh yes, he is. Yeah,
C'est la vie, say the old folks.
that's very true, as Mr. Berry said. So anyway, speaking about social media and baseball, we've officially had the first fire Dan Wilson rumblings here in Seattle as your Giants took care of them this
Swept,
weekend.
swept them 1-7 in a row.
Who knows, Michael? Maybe they'll be the surprise of the season. Maybe they'll be the one thing that comes out of this season that's surprising for people.
Well, right now I like the way they're playing because they're frisky and they're winning games on hits late in the game and they're putting together scoring like they didn't do last year. And they seem dangerous. They seem ready to pounce. They seem ready to go.
Yeah, which they definitely didn't seem last year.
No.
It seemed like they were sending
We
a
don't.
to-go order to Red's Java House.
We don't seem to be using the torpedo bats, but I say anybody can have a torpedo bat. You bring less bat to the job that the bat has to do. How's that going to be a continued advantage? Might be something about it that works that we don't understand yet, but there's less of a bat there.
Yeah, I don't. I haven't followed it deeply enough. I mean, I've read a couple of articles on it, but I haven't been able to get a hold of a friend of mine who is a hitting coach and talk to him a little bit about exactly what this torpedo bat. Why? I mean, obviously the Yankees had what was it, 9 home runs in one game, and it set a record, and everybody all of a sudden is jumping on what the Yankees are doing.
Well, it was the Yankee hitting coach that invented it. He went to MIT. He was a physicist. He quit science and became a baseball hitting instructor, and he taught at the University of Michigan. He was a professor, and was a very well educated man with an idea about how he can make a more efficient bat. He said he talked to hitters all over the leagues, and they all said that they needed something to keep up with the increased pitching. Pitchers were
Yeah.
getting better, but the hitters weren't. What did hitters need? Something to spur their ability at the plate. Why the torpedo bat works is something he'll have to explain to both of us. But the fact is, he didn't just make it up. The cat wants to knock my coffee off the sheet.
Uh,
Don't let that happen. Not gonna
don't
let
yeah,
that
don't
happen.
let that happen. Don't let that happen. Um, yeah, it's pretty amazing. Now I'm not sure. See, I thought I had read somewhere that they were going to ban the bat until they could study it further, but I guess they're not banned, right?
No.
So people who use them, they fall within the legal parameters of Major League Baseball.
Yeah.
I know a load is supposed to be coming here to the Mariners.
Have they ordered some?
Uh, they need to order something because, as I said already, the cries have gone out to fire Dan Wilson.
Wow, that's quick.
I don't know who you replace him with. I mean, I'm sure there's somebody. Obviously there's somebody you're going to replace him with. You'll have to look in the category of who works cheap.
Scott Server's still looking for a gig?
Yeah, I haven't seen his name pop up anywhere. But he's got a ton of money. You don't have to really, he probably don't have to work the rest of his life. He doesn't want to.
That seems fair.
I mean,
It's either that or get back into baseball. That may not have been the best solution.
well, he was all right for a while, but I don't know what is the shelf life of a baseball manager. It's always been an interesting question because, there comes a time in most clubhouses, and you've seen it, that the players, especially if they're there and they have some service time, start to tune the manager out.
Yeah.
All of a
And
sudden, the manager,
it's always on teams that are about playing 500 or 400 ball.
yeah, it's like, yeah, okay, if you knew how to manage, we'd be at the top of the standings. And so guys get lazy, guys start to, all sorts of crap goes on.
And they see who's in first place, and they say, "We haven't got a team like that."
Yeah, what's worse, if you see that you haven't got a team like that, or that you see that you have a team like that, you're still at the bottom.
You got hitters that don't hit, and pitchers that don't pitch, and fielders that come up empty.
Yeah, well, it's early though, Michael.
That's a fact. It's early.
It's early.
If the Giants have a hitting streak of 7 games, that's early.
A winning streak, yeah, of 7 games, which you know what is good because people seemed like they were getting a little. I don't know. There didn't seem to be among my friends that are Giant fans, of which I have many. There didn't seem to be the enthusiasm that I had seen in past years.
Well, Wilmer Flores is hitting the ball all over the place, including out of the park, and nobody expected that kind of a season from him. But there you have it.
Yeah, Wilmer Flores, the guy that I remember when the Mets were going to trade him at the trading deadline a couple of years ago. He cried. He says he didn't want to leave the Mets, so they actually held on to him for the rest of the season.
He's a good player. Fans love him.
Yeah, he seemed to be. They loved him in New York too. Yeah, they loved him in New York. They really thought he was. He seemed to be a decent guy. The Mets swept the Blue Jays over the weekend.
Congratulations.
With maybe the biggest part of that story, not that the Mets swept the Blue Jays, but that several Mets players were basically sitting on Vladimir Guerrero Jr.'s lap for most of the series. Despite that, they did sign a contract for what is it? 15 years, 500 million.
14 years for some strange reason.
I don't know if that was just to. I mean, the timing seemed a little bit odd to me because they signed it just as he was getting. That they saw that the Mets, at least the Mets players,
Thought he was coming.
want him to be a part of that team.
They don't need a first baseman.
Well, they got Pete Alonso, and Mr. Alonso whacked the ball around this weekend.
Every time you think he's done, he shows up.
He's the version of a baseball player that is known as the Mets player. You know, he's a lovable guy. Everybody loves him in New York. He's one of those guys that he just looks like a big, a big hunk of goof.
Well, what's his nickname?
Polar bear.
Polar bear. There you
go. And by the way, congratulations to Polar Bear and his lovely wife, because they found out this weekend that she was, in fact, with child.
Wow. Little polar bear on the way.
A little cub. So, and I mean, they kept him more. It was interesting, I thought, in that it was a time when a baseball club actually listened to the fans.
They were pretty clear about that.
And they were pretty clear about wanting him back.
But there was they said, look, we do want changes. We can come up with a lot of suggestions for you, but don't do that.
Yeah, find a place for this guy on the club. So, and I don't know how many other clubs were interested in him. I hear there were 2 or 3, but there wasn't the interest that a lot of people thought there was going to be. Certainly his agent
thought it was going to be more demand.
So he turned, especially after the postseason last year.
Which was good for him.
Yeah, because he seems to be, and again, you don't know these guys until you've been there in a clubhouse. You get to know them every day and get to know a little bit more about him. He seems to be a good guy. He seems to have that, that connection with fans. And I always like that. I always think that that's something that you can't buy.
I like the enthusiasm and the hustle that comes with the Giants this year. That's something that they didn't always show last year or in previous years. And it's a gutsy team. They know how to hustle. No Pepper, but they can hustle.
No Pepper. No Pepper, no Joe Orengo.
It's the ugly truth.
Well, Joe might have been the guy who was in charge of making sure that nobody played Pepper. He was always down behind the plate.
Yeah.
At the stick. I mean, he was always, you look for Joe, and Joe's out there directing traffic behind the plate. You go here, you go there. You're not allowed to go here. Get out there and sing the national anthem. How are you? For those who may not know, for many, 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 many years, this guy caught my attention when I first got to San Francisco because he was an attention-getting guy. Was this guy? I don't know what his official title was.
Probably didn't work for the team.
Relations or backstop to the backstop. I don't know, but Joe Orengo was this tall, imposing Italian guy who would run things behind the plate. If you go to any baseball game at batting practice and stuff like that, there's an order to things that go on. It looks like everybody's standing around, But in reality, they're all doing jobs that are preparing for the game. And Joe was a guy who kept that operation behind the plate moving.
And he knew where to find somebody who could hit a fungo. Not everybody can.
Right, right. And he knew who his guys were on each team. Those guys could come in, and he'd know that Luis Rivera was the guy that they needed off of the Dodgers, off of this, and he would send uh, the people who the marketing and the public relations department would tag to sing the national anthem. He was the guy in charge of getting the microphone out there, planting it, sing,
Getting it off
and
the
don't
field.
yeah, and don't go a second over 1 minute and 30 seconds.
Let's move it along. No funeral march here.
Right, right. We all know the song. We all know what it means. Your version isn't going to change the world. Go
Let's
ahead.
Go. Yeah.
Let's
Next.
go. And he had it timed that when that game was supposed to start at 7:35, that game started at 7:35.
Thank you, Joe.
He didn't dick around saying, well, we got to do this, we got to do that. And, well, if she runs the minute over. No. Get in there and get it going.
I didn't finish with the song. Yeah, you're finished. You're finished with the song.
You're done. You're done. And I guess he had worked for the club, I don't know, since 58. Did he work for them in some capacity or another since they had come?
The year they
I guess
came
he
out.
was an old minor league catcher, right?
Yeah, I think so.
But it was always one of my favorite things to watch at the ballpark.
Because he was a character.
Yeah, he knew that people were watching him, and he gave him a little show. Not a lot. He did his job, but he did it with flair.
But no pepper.
And everything ran. At the stick, everything ran perfect. Which wasn't always an easy thing to do at the stick.
That would be my question for the players. When they do the quick cuts of all their answers, what's your favorite birthday? What's your favorite this? What would happen between a cat and a dog, or some hypothetical question? Why is there no pepper? Would be my question.
The next time I talk to a Major League Baseball stadium operations manager might be who you'd have to talk to, right?
I'd like to know why did Pepper get such a bad name?
I'm sorry, say again?
Why did Pepper get a bad reputation? What happened to Pepper? Was it people guys getting hurt?
See, I always thought that it was because people were down there, watching the Pepper, and somebody got hit with it, and that, every nobody gets to watch Pepper anymore because of you.
You dumb mullock.
You're the reason that they had to paint no pepper on the walls of every ballpark in America.
Just because of you.
And if you've ever tried to paint on brick,
it's not easy.
Not an easy thing. We couldn't hang signs up because they'd steal them. How many movies did you watch that have had a no pepper sign in the bar? So we'll have to find out why there is no pepper.
And can you play pepper with a torpedo bat?
And can you hit it with a torpedo bat? And why the hell are the Dodgers seemingly have won the pennant already?
Well, their lineup is they got 2 hurt guys now, so that's good. Keep them on the injured reserve.
Yeah, you can't call it disabled list anymore.
Any news that's bad news is good for the Dodgers.
Yeah, they got 99 problems, and none of them are mine.
Yeah.
Who is hurt on the Dodgers?
The pitcher, Schnell.
Matt Snell? Is it Matt Snell?
Not Matt Schnell. Damn, what's his name? How soon we forget he was a Giant last year. Anyway, sore shoulder IR.
Uh, it's
Matt Schnell, right?
yeah, I think it was Matt Snell. Matt Snell, somewhere. Matt Snell, Ricky.
It's not Biff Schnell. That's his brother.
It should be. Well, I got a Matt. I was just looking at Matt Snell. I know there was a Matt Snell that played for the Jets back in the 60s, I believe. But that's not the same guy. Anyway.
Well, the Pirates have apologized for their being idiots.
Well, Michael, this is I've actually followed this story, and now I don't know if this is somebody falling on their sword.
Yeah, it is, because they're lying through their teeth.
Yeah, or it was an intentional thing. Now, it wouldn't surprise me if it was intentional, but I do know that the team has, a love for Roberto Clemente. I mean, he is the face of that franchise even today. There's nobody that's replaced him. The closest is probably Willie Stargell. But he really is the guy.
They made the right field fence 21 feet high in honor of Roberto Clemente.
Yeah, and there's 21s all over the ballpark. It's on Roberto Clemente Way. It's Roberto Clemente Bridge. I mean, his name, there's a statue outside. His name and his number are, synonymous with the Pirates. And so, in one way, it was not easy for me to believe that they would have done that. But it is the Pirates, and marketing departments are never really always the owner, or never really the owner. It's some sales manager that the owner or the president of the club has hired to try to squeeze every dollar he possibly can out of somebody.
We'll take down the Clemente number. We'll put up a soft drink.
Saying, how much could we sell that spot for right there where the number 21 is?
We're giving it away. What can we sell it for?
Yeah, we can sell it for something. Take down that 21 sign and put up a sign for a malt liquor, fruity flavored beverage that gets you so drunk that you buy more hot dogs.
You can't remember who Roberto Clemente was or why you went to the game, for that matter.
They might not even have any idea who Roberto Clemente is or was.
True enough.
I mean, most people that are doing these jobs were born after he died.
Yeah, how long are we going to keep doing this?
Especially if they're not from Pittsburgh.
How long are we going to keep doing this Clemente thing?
Yeah. Who is this guy that they're so... because the Pirates always... And I'm not defending the Pirates on this, but it just seems like it was some asshole who had no idea what Roberto Clemente means. The name Roberto Clemente means to the community, how closely his sons are tied with this club, and how much his wife Vera was tied up with this club. They ought to load all of the front office into a bus and take them down to the Roberto Clemente Museum. And, do that. But they sure, with Pirate fans having less and less every day to grab onto.
Well, Not a team for tradition, I take it.
Yeah, they ought to make sure that they don't step on any of the things that hold people to the team.
Mazeroski, have no idea what you're talking about. Mazeroski to you too, brother.
Well, but Mazeroski shows up at the games. You know, that'd be extremely hard for Roberto Clemente to do.
I think you're right. We're not looking for him to show up tomorrow.
Yeah, I
Today.
mean, Maz, I don't know if he still does, but when I was there for a week or so, I mean, he was always in spring training. And then for a week or so, he would come up and put a uniform on and sit on the bench and be a coach. Him and DeColvey was a broadcaster for the club, so they got to know who Kent was. But as far as Clemente, yeah, he's a name for many of them of the past. So you can, you can try to figure that out and try to.
Well, I read the apology, but it wasn't blanket. It wasn't a blanket acceptance by the Clemente family. Did not say, it's good. We know you made a mistake. It just said they did it. And they didn't tell us they were going to do it, and then it was only by the fans' complaints that they changed it.
Yeah, which I'm glad the fans. I mean, I couldn't imagine that they wouldn't. I mean, Pittsburgh fans will when it comes to the Pirates, well, when it comes to any of the teams, will always find something that to complain about or to vocalize their opinion about. It's what's so great about Pittsburgh. The great thing about Pittsburgh and about the Pirates fans is that this team has not won diddly squat in how many years?
How many years does it take to win Diddley Squad?
79 was the last time they were in the World Series or even got close to it. You had that little run when I was there from 2000 to 2014. Nice little run. But the reality is that they've done nothing except give you all you can eat hot dogs and ice cream in a batting helmet.
Did they want to fire Dan Wilson too in Pittsburgh?
They probably would if they had the opportunity. You don't hear that cry about Derek Shelton, who runs the Pirates. You don't hear that as much as after a week here. But I don't know. I just it's good to see that fans. They should be counting their blessings that fans are still that interested after so much futility by this team.
Now I don't know which team you're talking about, the Mariners or the Pirates?
The Pirates.
Or the Mariners?
Well, I know that the Mariners fans are more into the team than they were when I left. But there's still a realization that this whole franchise is a failure until they get to a World Series.
It's going to be quite a wait, I think. I have a feeling.
Seems like it, Mikey. It seems like it's going to be. And once Trump starts tariffing ball players,
forget about
it. You're not going to have any teams in Mexico or Canada.
I don't know. What about citizens from the Dominican Republic or Panama or Colombia or Venezuela?
Well, I wonder if there's any thought on that. Is how do you I know that they tax these guys when they come to certain towns in certain states. We don't have an income tax here,
like Toronto.
But like if Toronto comes here, they have to pay out of their salary. I know in Philadelphia they have to pay sales tax or some kind of tax.
Here's a W-10. You owe me money.
Yeah, on what they earn while they're in the city of Philadelphia.
The tax on Vladimir Guerrero just went up when he goes to New York to say hello there.
Yeah.
And hello there to you, too. You owe me some money.
I think though, I don't know about New York, and here we don't have an income tax.
Right. Well, they do in New
But
York.
in New York, they divide the schedule up into 162 times, and then 162, you you play 4 games, so you have 4 times 162. 4 divided by 162 is so much per game, and that's what you have to pay in taxes. You need a freaking accountant.
We
Don't
got
let
an
anybody
accountant.
tell you that when they have $500 million that you don't need a couple of accountants.
Well, you need an accountant to help you with your bills to the baseball because in reality, an accountant is not even going to help the United States figure out how many trillions we are in the hole. It could be 6 trillion, it could be 7 trillion, it might be 4 trillion. We don't know.
But that's a tax bill. We should tax those millionaires, as it should be. I mean, they should be able to do business in a municipality if they don't pay their fair share of taxes.
You think Uday and Kusei are going to pay their taxes?
No, no, they aren't going to pay their taxes. The old man isn't going to pay his taxes. Everybody in that administration is not going to pay the taxes.
J.D. Vance's wife will go to debtor's prison.
Oh my God, poor J.D. Vance and his wife. This
Did
is
he
a
leave her
guy.
in Green? Did she come back from Greenland, or did she get stuck there?
I didn't see anything that she came back. I never saw that he came back. Last I saw, he was jumping up and down in a weird looking coat.
That was it. That was his Greenland dance.
But I didn't see anything past that. I think I saw. I was so busy packing boxes, Michael. Moving at this age sucks.
Yeah.
Moving at this age is horrible. And don't let anybody ever tell you different, man. Um,
It's the worst.
yeah, it's just horrible. Um, Looking through things and having to decide what you're going to throw, what you're going to give away, what you're going to throw out, what you're going to keep, and the amount of stuff that you accumulate over 5 years. Even if you say to yourself, "I'm not going to accumulate so much stuff," it seems like
Right.
it spurs you on to accumulate more.
I'm going to clear the decks this time. This time, I'm going to do it right.
Yeah. Hey, Mickey Delaney is listening to us. Hello, Mickey. How are you? We haven't
Hey,
seen you
Mickey.
in a while. Mickey's a good man. Says,
Well,
come on, Michael. Come on, Vinnie.
today's a morose Monday. We're going to have a wacky Wednesday if everything goes right. If we make it to the fractious Friday, we may still have a country, but no guarantees.
No guarantees. I'm going to wrap mine in cellophane. That's my new mantra. I'm going to
Wrap it
wrap
up.
mine in cellophane.
Put it in the refrigerator, and we're going to hope for the best. Should taste great.
Ah, I don't know. I saw some stuff when I was cleaning out my refrigerator this weekend.
Unmentionable. I don't want to know.
The only question I had is what was it, the first year I was here or the second year I was here that I put that in there? I mean, what is the shelf life of a half a jar of apple butter?
Best case scenario, 4 weeks at the most.
Yeah, well, I had one that was a science experiment in there. This was all the way at the back, where you never put your hands back there. You were afraid of what might happen.
You can't go back there. It's a no-go zone.
When they say there's no going back, they specifically mean a refrigerator.
Do not go back
Uh,
there.
all right, Mikey, what do you say that we do? This has been really good, man. I'm really glad to be back with everybody and talking to you all. I believe it or not, I missed the whole gang of you.
Well, you had the move, and that was just horrible. Sorry, Ben.
Yeah, well, we still got the move in coming, so that's going to happen today and
The load
tomorrow.
in.
But we'll be coming to you from the new studios on Wednesday, hopefully from the outdoor deck
Aha, good.
where we can sit and enjoy the sunshine. Except here it'll probably be raining like a bastard,
Like a bastard.
like a bastard. Well, Mickey Delaney says he's been sick. So, Mickey, we hope you're feeling better and we're glad you're back with us.
Get organized, Mickey. We'll see you soon.
The guy's been listening to us, Michael, since we first started back in '93.
Wow.
At
Good job, Mick.
KJR, he's been listening to us. I ran into another guy this weekend, a carpet guy that was doing the carpet in the house, putting new carpets in. And he was stoked, and he used to watch us used to listen to us, I should say, on the show all the time since he hasn't been the same since we left.
Oh, nice comment.
Yeah, really, I love hearing from people like that when, it makes all of the crazy stuff worth it because you know that you accomplished your job. You entertained people.
There was somebody on the other end after all.
Yep. Now, if we could just find our friend that used to bring us the red beans and rice,
Ooh,
there's the guy I want to see again.
Dirty rice, let's go.
Dirty rice and beans. The man from New Orleans. All right, Mikey, I'll see you on Wednesday morning if the Lord's willing the creek don't rise. You take care of yourself. It's good to see your face again.
You take care of yourself, Vinnie. Be strong through this thing.
All right. If the Lord's willing the creek don't rise, we'll see you. Oh, my God, the people down south. Jeez.
It's rising.
Yeah, it's not pretty. All right, and then, of course, see, I'm gone a week. It makes my brain mush. Peace, love, and Manischewitz, Mikey.
And the Prime Minister from Israel's in town, so not too much Manischewitz for him. Yeah, give him a whole bottle. See what he comes up with.
Give him a whole bottle and see what he does. Let's watch him.
Let's see if Netanyahu can dance.
Keep him away from the girls.
See you, Vin.
See you, Mikey.
What a wine. That's what I meant to say.
Peace, love, and Manischewitz.